This is going to be day 9 of Trading 101, and this is how to take a loss. There's a few things that I do every day to kind of help prevent losses, so just give me more information on the market before I start trading. The first thing is I do is I check the economic calendar. So I go on forexfactory.com. This is not a very good screenshot of it, but it's literally what I look at every single morning. So I always look for the red folder. So I'll go over a news thing on like what to look out for news, kind of like what's going on before you even start trading. But this is a good thing to check for. Check for what's going on if there's a bank holiday and the banks aren't even open, if there's unemployment claims, if there's a big holiday, if there's something that's going to affect the market, it's going to be on here. So that's why I check it every morning. Another thing is don't trade if you're mentally checked out. That's something I noticed myself doing a lot, is kind of like forcing trades even though I didn't want to trade. And those are the ones I lose almost every single time, right? There's never going to be a day where kind of like, yeah, I'll just go in and trade and throw a trade out there. You're never going to win that trade. You're not locked in. You're not following your strategy. Probably you're not following a setup. It's probably not a good setup. There's probably some choppy waters, right? So you need to understand that aspect as well. Another thing is following your plan and your strategy. You should at some point before you start a funded account, before you start live account, is prove yourself you are profitable. So finding a trading plan and following a strategy is going to take a while. It took me a little longer than I wanted to, but it's something you find out, and I found it out the hard way. So I think, and sometimes it's the best way to find out the hard way. For me, that was the case. So I found out the hard way about finding what strategy works for me, what plan works for me, right? When I'm going to trade, the time slot I'm going to trade, what session I'm going to trade, what pair I'm going to trade, right? All that stuff takes a long time, and it's whatever your preference, right? I'm not going to tell you that trading Nasdaq at New York session open every day is the best thing to do, because it's not for some people. Some strategies just it doesn't work for it. So this is kind of a rundown on what I would have to say is probably the best way to prevent. So check news, follow your strategy, follow your plan, and be mentally checked in for the day. So there are a few things that I do following a loss. I always journal my trades. That is so important. I don't care if you write it down in a little notebook like this. I don't care if you take screenshots of it and put it in PowerPoint. That's what I do. I'm a big visual guy. I love looking. I'm not gonna write down like, hey, my stop loss was at 22.36 and price moved down to 20. Like you write down all these numbers and everything and all these confluences is great, but you can't even see it. So I always will like I literally take 2 seconds to use a snipping tool on here. Literally will just drag the corner, take screenshots of all the time frames I was looking through. So the hourly, the 4 hour, the 5 minute, the 1 minute, all of what I was thinking, my thought process throughout the whole trade. And then I will put it in PowerPoint, and then obviously on Excel, this is actually mine. I will go through what my confluences were. Obviously, I've been using a lot of the same confluences, which is what was working for me. I'll go over my emotions. I'll go over what pair I was trading. I don't even know why I do that anymore. I literally just trade Nasdaq, and then I'll put how much news we had that day. So we had 2 red folders at 8:30. We had 4 red folders in the afternoon. We had 3 yellow folders, right? So how much news there is. Also, asking yourself, did you follow your trading plan? The odds of you winning a trade and not following your trading plan are very slim, because you have to develop a trading plan that makes you profitable. And if you don't follow that trading plan, you're off the rails. You don't know how it's going to go. It's better to not take a trade after you take a loss, trying to be like, oh, I'm just going to try to win my money back. I'm going to try to get back to break even for the day. I think it's better not. There are some instances where I have taken another trade after losing one, and I think both times I've ended up just being at break even. So I enter a trade, I'm in profit for a little bit, I move stop loss back to break even, and then whatever. But most of the time, I will not take a trade after a loss. Or I just take one trade a day in the first place. Voice your trade, explain it out loud and not just writing, right? I think a lot of times, especially if you're texting somebody, if you're telling a joke or something and you type it out, it sounds funny, it sounds good, and then you say it out loud and it sounds terrible, right? I think trading's the same thing, right? If you go over a bunch of confluences that you had and you write it down and it sounds good, and then you voice it out loud and then you start going through the time frames, you're like, wow, this was actually not a good trade. Like, I think that helps a lot. That's what I do every single day. I go on here, I'll do pre-market analysis on my laptop. I'll go through a live trade. I'll kind of explain why I took a trade, maybe why I didn't trade that day, and then I'll go on to TikTok and make like a quick little 1 minute video explaining my whole rundown of the trade. Another thing you have to understand is you don't have to win a trade to win the day. I think that's been a factor from mine for a while, especially is I have a lot of stuff to do after trading. I have a lot of content I like to make. I have a lot of videos to edit. So it's like as long as I follow my trading plan, I win the day. I win if I win. It doesn't matter if I actually win the trade or not. If I follow my trading plan, I follow my strategy, and I lose, that's okay because there's not going to be a single trading plan or strategy you follow that you will win 100% of the time. Market's going to do whatever the market wants to do. Nobody has enough money to manipulate the market to move it where it wants to, right? You can scalp all you want in those 10-second trades or whatever. You're never going to win 100% of the time. Again, like I said, make sure you journal following your trade. Uh, I always do it right after while it's fresh in my brain, right? I'm not going to be like, oh, I'll do it in an hour and then I kind of lose where I was on the trade. I always do it right after. Record yourself thinking through the trade is super important too. I will always like I said, record videos of me talking through the confluences, talking through, hey, I think this is going to be a valid draw of liquidity. I like this bearish order block, or within a downtrend, this is what I'm going to be looking for shorts. Maybe learn something new following the trade, not in your strategy. So maybe, you're kind of struggling on draws of liquidity, right? You can't really find valid draws of liquidity. Maybe you'll go find a video on liquidity sweeps, right? Maybe you can't mark out the right order blocks or struggling to see them. Maybe you'll go watch a video on order blocks, right? So there's a few things that you can tweak here and there. I would not change your strategy, right? But it takes a long time to learn a good strategy. I will go over what I do with my strategy, but that's going to be way down the line because we have a ton of other confluences that we have to go over before any of it even makes any sense. So that's going to be it for psychology. I think this is part three. So this understanding how to take a loss. Again, losses are never the best. Obviously, as long as you're profitable, it doesn't matter. If you have like a 70% win rate, there's no point of worrying about losses because obviously your wins are going to eat them up significantly more than the losses. So that is going to be it for psychology part three, and we will probably be getting into order blocks in the next video.